Hi, this is 3 Minutes of Leadership, and I'm Chrissy Martinez. Today, we're going to talk about values. A lot of leadership experts talk about the importance of value driven leadership, being able to verbalize and communicate what's important to you and why. I want to take it a step further. I want to talk about why values are not just important to you as a leader, but to you as a person. As a theme, and you'll see over and over, you can't separate who you are as a leader from who you are as a person. So, to be your most authentic self, you have to have a firm grasp of your foundations, your foundational values. So, I want to ask you today, before we really get into it, what's the number one thing that drives you? What's your number one belief about the world? What's your number one value? For me, my number one value that everyone would probably agree is that I believe that every single person has innate intrinsic value. That's more important than the money that they bring me, or than their degrees, or of what people think about them. I believe that every single person who crosses my path has intrinsic value that is not greater or less than anyone else's value. Part of my mission in my business is to create systems, to create positions, and to create roles that celebrate the differences of values that people have. When somebody doesn't fit or isn't immediately successful in a role, our first inclination is not to let them go. It's to ask ourselves, what value does this person have? How is it different than somebody else's value? And how do we honor and celebrate that value? Where did this come from? For me, I have a really firm belief in storytelling. I believe that the way to find your values is often through storytelling, or sometimes the way to illustrate it is through storytelling. So for me, when I was a kid growing up, I would watch my dad outside of church for hours debate how to solve the world poverty problem. How do we solve homelessness? How do we get the invisible visible? The women and children who are struggling to find home, shelter, and resources because they're the ones nobody realizes is actually homeless. So, how does that affect me as a professional? As you can see, I've created systems that automatically build in that value and belief. It's structured so that the people who step into leadership positions in my company know the questions to ask. It creates a culture where we value everybody for their differences, for their diversity, and for the innate intrinsic value that they bring us or anyone. We celebrate people for being. So today I want to ask you, what's your number one value? What's the number one value that people would see in you as a leader? This has been 3 Minutes of Leadership, and I'm Chrissy Martinez.